Hello, welcome back to Let's Play Jane's Fighters Anthology as we continue with the reference materials. Today, we will finish off with the SH-3A Sea King. SH-3A title Sikorsky S-61A, S-61B, and S-61F. U.S. military designations RH-3 and SH-3 Sea King. Sikorsky's S-61 series of twin-turbine helicopters includes the following military and commercial variants. S-61A, amphibious transport generally similar to the U.S. Navy's SH-3A. Accommodates 26 troops, 15 litters, cargo, or 12 passengers in VIP configuration. Rolls-Royce Bristol Gnome H-1200 turboshafts available as alternative to standard General Electric T-58 engines. 9 delivered to Royal Danish Air Force for long-range air-sea rescue duties with additional fuel tankage. The Decca Navigator Company in the UK announced on 15th January 1973 that it had received a £100,000 contract to supply Mark 19 Decca Navigator airborne receivers, DANAC computers, and pictorial displays for the Royal Danish Air Force's S-61A fleet. One S-61A delivered to construction helicopters. SH-3A, formerly HSS-2 Sea King, initial anti-submarine version for the U.S. Navy, powered by 1,250 shaft horsepower General Electric T-58 GE-8B turboshaft engines. A total of 255 were produced by Sikorsky, also standard in the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force. Mitsubishi converted 2 SH-2As to S-61A standard for use during Antarctic expeditions. SH-3D Sea King, standard anti-submarine helicopter to U.S. Navy, powered by 1,400 shaft horsepower General Electric T-58 GE-10 turboshaft engines, and with an additional 140 U.S. gallons or 530 liters of fuel. First SH-3D, delivered in June of 1966, was one of 10 aircraft of this type ordered for the Spanish Navy. 4 were delivered to the Brazilian Navy. Sikorsky built a total of 74 SH-3Ds. Type: twin-engine amphibious all-weather anti-submarine helicopter. Rotor system: 5-blade main and tail rotors, all-metal, fully articulated, oil-lubricated main rotor. Flanged cuffs on blades, bolted to machine flanges on all-steel rotor head. Main rotor blades are interchangeable and are provided with an automatic powered folding system. Rotor brake standard, all-metal tail rotor. Rotor drive: both engines drive through freewheel units and rotor brake to main gearbox. Steel drive shafts, tail rotor shaft driven through intermediate and tail gearboxes. Accessories driven by powered takeoff on tail rotor shaft. Additional freewheel units between accessories and port engine and between accessories and tail rotor shaft. Main rotor engine RPM ratio 1 to 9,343. I don't know if there's supposed to be like a decimal there or not, because there is a space there, so makes you wonder. Tail rotor engine RPM ratio 1 to 167 or 1 to 16.7. Again, they have a space there, so I don't know if there's like a typo and there's supposed to be a decimal there or not. Tail surface: fixed stabilizer on starboard side of tail section. Power plant: 2 1,400 shaft horsepower General Electric T-58 GE-10 turboshaft engines. 3 bladder-type fuel tanks in hull for tank capacity 347 U.S. gallons or 1,314 liters. Center tank capacity 40 U.S. gallons or 530 liters. Rear tank capacity 353 U.S. gallons or 1,330 liters. Total fuel capacity 840 U.S. gallons or 3,180 liters. Accommodation: pilot and co-pilot on flight deck, 2 sonar operators in main cabin. Dual controls: crew entry door at rear of flight deck on port side. Large loading door at rear of cabin on starboard side. Electronics and equipment: Bendix AQS-13 sonar with 180-degree search beam width. Hamilton Standards auto stabilization equipment, automatic transition into hover. Sonar coupler holds altitude automatically in conjunction with Ryan APN 130 Doppler radar and radar altimeter. Armament: provision for 840 pounds or 381 kilograms of weapons, including homing torpedoes. Dimensions: external diameter of main rotor 61 feet 0 inches or 18.9 meters. Diameter of tail rotor 10 feet 4 inches or 3.15 meters. Length overall 72 feet 8 inches or 22.15 meters. Overall height 16 feet 10 inches or 5.13 meters. Areas: main rotor blades each 44.54 square feet or 4.4 meters squared. Tail rotor blades each 2.46 square feet or 0.23 meters squared. Weights: weight empty S61A 9,763 pounds or 4,428 kilograms. S61B 11,865 pounds or 5,382 kilograms. Normal takeoff weight S61A 20,500 pounds or 9,300 kilograms. SH-3A in ASW configuration 18,044 pounds or 8,165 kilograms. Performance at 20,500 pounds or 9,300 kilograms. Max level speed 144 knots or 166 miles per hour or 267 kilometers per hour. Max rated climb at sea level 2,200 feet or 670 meters per minute. Service ceiling 14,700 feet or 4,480 meters. Here in the photo lab, ooh, they got some full color pictures. That's unusual for stuff that isn't like a player flyable aircraft. But here we can see a US Navy SH-3A or D. I do not know them well enough to tell the difference between the variants. And here we can see another one. This picture actually looks really old. This is probably an SH. If I had to guess, I would say this is probably an SH-3A and this is an SH-3D because you can tell there's like extra sensors on the forward end, and this is kind of like completely smooth. Maybe that's a sensor there, but I'm not real sure. You can see landing gear. This edge might be smooth. That's either a torpedo or no, it's probably a torpedo there. It's carrying on the starboard wing. Can't really see it on this one. But then these almost look like a bunch of little antennas, or maybe that's where they store the sonar buoys that they drop. I'm not very familiar with the SH-3A, to be honest. Most of my experience is actually the two missions in this game actually, where you in the Vietnam campaign, where you have an SH-3 performing search and rescue, and you gotta defend it. I mean, I've seen them, but like I know, I think it's what Jack Ryan uses in. It uses in Hunt for Red October to get out to the Los Angeles class sub. Let's see. Actually, the endgame model is pretty detailed too. It doesn't have any sensor fairings. It doesn't have any of the bumpiness there, but you can see the various sections of the outer plating and stuff. You can see the two air intakes there for the turboshaft engines. So, yeah, that is the SH-3A, mostly out of service now and replaced by the SH-60 in just about every Navy I can think of, but I think there's a few soldiering on in civilian roles. I know for the longest time, Marine 1 and Marine 2 were Sea Kings, although I think they might actually... They've been trying to replace those. I don't know where they stand. I thought they replaced them with, like, wasn't like a Black Hawk variant. It was a Sikorsky helicopter. I can't think of the very name off the top of my head, but it was kind of a bit larger than Black Hawk, and instead of like the side doors, it had a larger rear ramp like you might see in some European helicopters like the Puma, if memory serves. There was talk about the Osprey, but obviously the ill-deserved reputation it has means it's relegated to a secondary transport role only of other VIPs rather than as a presidential helicopter. But although other considerations might just be the fact that it's kind of a big helicopter, you know, it takes up a lot more space than a traditional helicopter. But in any case, with that all being said, thank you all for watching and stay tuned for next time and stay safe out there, and we'll see you then.